You're tuned to the Jupiter Joe Money Show. I'm Jenny Thomas, your co-host, and we have Jupiter Joe, our host of the Jupiter Joe Money Show.
That's right. A lot of Jupiter Joes in there.
A lot. So let's get started in today's show. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Why don't you start it?
Well, I think, I was thinking about money in general, and I was just thinking about some people who have come in and they've had money that is literally doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So I came up with this term called dead money. I really haven't heard it before. Dead money with gambling means that the guy's a loser, bottom line. And I got to tell you what I was thinking about with this is people that have money that's dead money is money they forgot about. It's not making any interest. It's sitting there. They forgot about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's in an old brokerage account where they left a job and it's very risky. We had a gentleman recently who had an account and the account had just basically almost expired, almost worth nothing because he left it there and just forgot about it.
It happens every day.
Yeah, that's dead money. I mean, if you're not using it, that could be another reason for dead money. You got to put money to work. Mm-hmm. And it sounds so cliche, but people don't know how to put money to work. I've been doing it my whole life. I ask people, how much money you have in your checking account? I mean, I've heard numbers from, $2,000 to $200,000 to $500,000. Literally, what's it there for? Emergency is the big one. I always hear emergency. Mm-hmm. And I say, what emergency costs $200,000 or $500,000? They laugh and, we talk and, it's just about putting that money to work. So we're going to talk today about how to put that dead money to work, make it live,
Love it. So if you do have so what is dead money?
I think anything that's just sitting around doing nothing or you don't know where it is. I mean, people literally have accounts. I remember years ago, we used to do a lot more detailed financial planning when I was doing estate planning, where we would take into account everything the client owned or had, any kind of value of anything, you take into account to figure out what the taxes would be on their estate. And one of the things we would do is we would ask them a detailed, accounting of everything they had, because you need to know this, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people should do that themselves. They should know that, hey, where is my money and what's it doing? Is it earning any interest? So that's what I think we're going to talk about today, is just basically if you're earning the other thing is if you're earning no interest or very low interest, that's dead money. I think the show is really, what is dead money? It's anything that you're not using, you forgot about, it's earning low interest or no interest. It doesn't have any goals for it. Now, this is a big deal. You need to have a goal for your money. Is it going to retirement? Is it going to your kids? Is it going to your spouse? Is it going to pay off a bill? What is the goal for that specific money? And then you can figure out what to invest in,
So thinking about people who have a big amount of money in their checking account just sitting there, mm-hmm. Do you think it's fear? Like people are scared to touch that lump sum if you have $200,000?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that on the next show. And it's really about just people leaving their money there because A, they don't know what to do with it, and B, they've had it there so long, Mm-hmm. And then finally when they start realizing what we do for them and getting them better rates, mm-hmm. Putting the money to work. It sounds so cliche, but it's really pretty simple. You're going to come in, we're going to chat, we're going to talk, and you're going to tell me, I'm going to ask you, what's the goal for this money? Once you put a goal on the money, things change rapidly. This is now my retirement plan. This is going to my retirement. This is going to increase my income to such and such an amount in the future. So putting a goal on money, stamping it right away, retirement or future income or whatever it may be, is a big deal,
So true. I think it's easy for people just to pull out what they have and check what interest rate are you getting and how do you see your retirement plan playing out, especially if you're going to be retiring soon.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000,000%. The other thing is, when you look at this dead money, you got to know whether it's going to be taxable money or non-taxable money. So people that have IRAs sitting around, 403Bs, for some reason we've done a lot of business with nurses over the years. Kathy Green used to always talk about nurses, and they'll have 2 or 3 hospitals they worked in, and they'll have a 403B here, they'll have an IRA there, whatever it is, 401k, and a lot of times they forget about it. So what we'll do sometimes is we'll put the 3 of them together or 4 of them together and have one account, and then ultimately talking about whether it's an IRA, 401k, or whatever kind of money it is, IRA, qualified or non-qualified, we may put it into a Roth for them. Roths, there's a lot of people advertising Roth conversion right now. Now, it's not hard to do. You just have to know the goals for converting to a Roth. So if you have dead money sitting around, maybe it's time to convert it to a Roth. Maybe it's time to consider, should I make a contribution to a Roth? Should I make a contribution to an IRA? I hear a lot of people say, well, I don't have any money. And I go, well, don't you have that money sitting in your check? Yeah, it's sitting there. Okay, well, let's put it to work for you,
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Jupiter Joe Money Show. We come to you each and every week on Wednesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. and also on Saturday mornings at 7:30. If you'd like to talk to Jupiter Joe, give us a call, 561-743-0999, and you can book a free appointment by going to jupiterjoe.com.
That's right. So you and I were talking off air before we wrote this show, and I came up with the terminology dead money, and you were talking about, hey, how do people end up with dead money? I think number one is leaving a job. And if you've left your job, you were displaced, you quit, whatever it may be, and you left some money there. Some people leave their jobs, Jenny, and they don't even know that they left a 401k there. They get something in the mail, and they go, hey, I got $5,000 there, I got $50,000, whatever the number is. So leaving a job is a big deal. Moving to a new bank, you mentioned.
Yes.
Some people do that. They switch banks and they forget they got money sitting in a CD over here that came due. In fact, there are laws that say that if you don't contact your bank about money that's in the system, it can go to the lost money revenue, whatever that is, in Florida. And the money's actually taken out of your account and given to the state of Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. So you need to know where your money is. I remember a lady giving me the sheet of paper about it. And I was like, oh my God, I never even knew this. There's so much stuff that people don't know about financial planning and just finance in general and money. The other thing is inheritance. You mentioned, your parents leave you some money. They had 5 or 6 accounts. And one of the big ones we see is these inherited IRAs.
Yes.
There are a set of rules that you have to follow. We know about those rules. We can help you do it. Some people want to get out of the inherited IRA and make the money work for them in different ways. We can do that as well. The other thing is, this is really important, I think, too. You found this out recently with somebody. They had a brokerage account with one firm. They forgot about it for years. And then all of a sudden they're with another brokerage firm. Never even got notified.
Right.
And then they can't even get their money out because the new firm has got all kinds of issues. And this particular person has been spending, I don't know, is it a month or 2 now? We've been trying to get the money.
2 months.
Yeah. And I had a lady where it took 3 months to get money out of Merrill Lynch. Some of these companies are just the worst. Speaking of that, private equity and private credit, there are big deals brewing with this. When I say big deals, I mean bad stuff brewing with private credit and private equity. Why am I bringing this up? If you have Blue Owl, you have Apollo, or you have Ares, and you can't get your money right now, they're limiting how much you can take out of these because private credit has this big, giant crunch on right now where people are having a hard time moving their money. So here you are in retirement. You put your 401k over there, and now the company is limiting how much money you can take out. That is not a good deal. So be very aware of that if anybody has those products right now. Okay.
So true. So if you have dead money, that's one mistake to make your money useless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you know the money's sitting there and you're okay with it getting 0.5 or 0.25. I mean, we have clients that, come in and we look at their investments and we go, hey, look, do you know you're earning 0.25%? No, I think I'm earning 2.5. And I go, no, the decimal point before it. And it's funny, but it's not, that means you're earning 0.25%. And if it's a large amount of money, you're losing money. I mean, just put it in a fixed account with one of our fixed annuities and you're getting 6% interest or whatever the rate is. It doesn't matter. 5%, 6%. I had a guy in Georgia. He had an account with, I can't remember what it was. He had retired. He forgot about the money. He moved to Georgia, talking about moving. He moved to Georgia and he had this money sitting there and he called me and he said, hey, I listened to your show and I heard you talking about interest rates. He said, I think I'm getting like 2%. And we called up, he was getting like 0.5. Okay. So 0.5% on like $500,000. Wow. So he was earning like $2,500 a year interest, right? Big deal. No, we got him $30,000 a year interest. We got him like a 5.5% interest rate. He's like earning like $30,000 a year interest for the next 5 years. Wow. Talk about supersizing your money. And the guy is happy. I mean, he's just like, Joe, how did I not do this before? But he did it, and he was so happy when he was done doing this, And we have story after story. We could talk about people that have had their money, forgot it was over here or over there or whatever, and we help them find it or get it. We're almost like a private investigator kind of thing, sometimes, So...
I was just thinking, so people who have a savings account or just money sitting, just doing nothing, do you think they're afraid to put it into an annuity because it's locked in?
I do sometimes. The other thing is sometimes they just need to be explained how things work.
Yeah.
Look, I tell people this all the time. Annuities aren't a bad word. It's how you interpret that word. It's like any word. The annuity is a tool in your retirement toolbox, and how you use it's up to you, and there's three basic uses. Either it's going to be fixed, locked in for a period of 2, 3, 5 years, or it's going to be indexed, where you index to the market. That's a longer term investment. Or maybe it's income, where you start income in 30 days. So we have all three of those, and it depends on what you want to fit into. So I'm hearing a lot about this income buckets and buckets in retirement. I was Googling something before, and they were talking about income buckets or different, putting money away in different buckets. We can do that with people. And I've been doing that with people for years and years. We'll put so much money in an income bucket, so much money in a deferred fixed interest rate, where they're getting a fixed rate for 3, 5 years and not going to touch the money. And then maybe something in a growth account where it's an index to the market. They can't lose any money because it's indexed. Disclosure, don't surrender the account. You won't lose money with any annuity. And we talk about the time length that you have to keep it to make sure that you don't have any charges. But people just have to understand what the purpose is for their money. I think this dead money concept is interesting because there's so much money out there. There's $8 trillion right now on the sidelines that people are scared to put in the market. Rightfully so. Let's talk about the market. Let me talk about the market update really quick. Microsoft is down significantly. Google was doing great. It's down significantly. Now, you came in this morning, you said, hey, the market's up today. Well, it's been down. And even when it's up, you're still not back to where you were. I mean, I've got some stocks that I've lost 20 and 30% on this year. And I'm talking about big stocks, very good companies that have gone down in value. Look at United Healthcare. I mean, the stock was in the $500 range, is now in the $280 range. Microsoft was in the $470 range. It's now down to $370. So these stocks are significantly going down. There's a big amount of scaredness, if that's a word, fear in the market right now. The risk level is so high. It's unbelievable what's going on.
Right. So if you'd like to talk to Joe, give us a call, 561-743-0999. Get a copy of Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. It's a great first thing to look at of what Jupiter Joe does. So go to jupiterjoe.com. You can request your free book.
Yeah, I think for people out there listening to this show today, if you have dead money, and you know what dead money is, you forgot about it, you just put it out of your mind, or you have that checking account and you go, hey, I got $100,000 sitting here, and we need to do something with this. You talk to your husband or your wife, say, hey, listen, honey, we got this money sitting here. It's doing nothing. What's the goal for it? Now, if it's going to pay off your house or you're going to buy a house with it, most likely you're not going to do an annuity with it, right? But if you're not going to utilize that money for 3 years, put it to work. If it's IRA, 401k, 403b money, you can't touch it anyway until you 59 and a half, or you must take it at 73. That's another thing. If you are in your 70s and you have dead money sitting around in a 401k or a 403b and you forgot about it, you better know about it, because you're going to get a penalty at 73 if you don't take your RMD. Now, they might send you a letter, but you might have a new address and it doesn't come to you. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're getting a letter from the IRS. And that happens all the time. We got 1 or 2 clients out of that problem this year that we've solved for some clients, And
I think that's a big thing. Do you feel like a lot of people who they don't really know what they're doing until something happens, where then they make a change or they take an action to do something? So we
were talking off air, I guess it was end of week last week on Friday. We were talking about people just making changes and why they make changes. It comes to, and I put this in my book, why people make certain changes: divorce, getting married, kids, kids getting remarried. Maybe you got sick. We had a gentleman come in. We've had this happen, not one person, many, many people. They get sick and they go, hey, I really want to get my stuff together here. Right. I'm sick of my money doing what it's doing. This all, here's what people get bent out of shape about. IRA, 401k, TSP, whatever it's called, who cares? It's money. Okay. And once you understand that all your money is just money, no matter where it is. Now, the problem is there's different rules you got to follow, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets complex. We break it down for you. But really what I'm talking about today is money that's sitting around doing nothing. And you know it's doing nothing, and maybe you forgot about it, but now it's time hearing this show. And you said, what's the purpose of the show, Dad? I said, really getting people to just hear that if they have money sitting around doing nothing, it's time to act. It's time to figure out, give this Jupiter Joe guy a call and say, hey, I got $100,000 sitting here. What can I do with this? How can I make more money? We got a call from a guy in New Jersey last week. I've been talking to this guy now for 2 years.
Really?
2 years. I can't make this up. His mom passed away. He now has this money and he doesn't want to lose it. He says, I don't want to lose the money. And that's a bigger fear, either A, running out of money, or B, losing the money. Now, how do you lose money? Well, you spend it down or it's too risky, right? Or the other thing that you can do with money that people don't know is that if inflation's high and you're not earning enough interest to keep up with inflation, you're losing money while the money sits there. Your dollar is worth less. If you have $100 and inflation goes up, you have less money to buy. Your purchasing power has decreased. So losing money, you can do it in many ways. Risk, just leaving it there doing nothing because the interest rates are too low, and not putting a goal on it. I'm going to tell you, having a goal for money is so important. Years ago when I started this business, I knew nothing. I was a kid, out of college and in my 20s. And my manager at the time, Alex, he says to me, look, he says, when you go talk to people, he says, find out what they want to do with the money. And we used to say to people, look, literally, this is your new car money. This is your vacation money. This is to buy. One lady said, I'm going to buy a fridge with a new refrigerator, right? So once you put that, you earmark something, hey, this is my retirement money, this is my kids, grandkids' money, things change mentally for you. And that's what we're trying to do with you. We're trying to change this mindset of letting money be dead money and turning it into living money,
I love that. I think a lot of people, they don't spend their money either. They're scared to.
Yep. I'm going to talk about it on the next show, but I'll get into it here for a reason so people hear it twice. I was reading this book and it's about people who save for retirement and save for the rainy day that never comes. And they get into their 60s, they have this lump sum of money. And I'm not talking, maybe they have several money sitting around and they do nothing with it. And they go, you know what? When we retire, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to take that trip around the world, honey. And I'm going to buy that little sports car, that red shiny Corvette. I'm going to get one. And I'm going to join a country club. Okay. And we're going to do everything that we never did before because now we're retired. Guess what happens? They don't do it. They don't do it. They got so used to saving money and putting money away and for the what ifs that they forget about doing all the things that retirement's supposed to be about. But guess what? Eventually they pass away and their kids get the money. The first thing the kids do is they go on vacation. The second thing they do is they go buy that red shiny Corvette. The third thing they do is they go buy a boat and they join a country club. And they're doing everything you never did. They're reaching all your goals that you had for retirement, but you didn't do it. And I'm going to tell you, if you're listening to me now and you have money sitting around, turn it into mailbox money. You have to learn how that certain money does different things. That 401k is eventually going to turn into income for you, whether you want to or not, because the IRS will force you to take your income. You don't have a choice. This is why mailbox money is extremely important. If you get a check every month for the rest of your life in your hands, you can go on vacation with it. You can buy the car you never had. You can buy the boat, you can join the country club and enjoy life. That's what it's about.
So the kids, they're using the money to enjoy their lives. Yeah.
There's a joke. Look, we're being a little funny today. So there's a joke, and I never forgot this. This guy was telling this joke about how there's two little kids and they're out in the porch and the parents are inside having a serious discussion and the kids are out in the porch. Anyway, and the one kid says to the other kids, hey, we're going to Disney soon. And the other kid says, hey, how are you doing it? He says, I don't know, but I think Grandpa croaked.
Oh my gosh.
So, it's so true. And it's look, you got to be a realist in life. And if there's one thing that I feel that I am about life is a realist, you got to really look at things the way they are and accept them. You either accept them or you fight your whole life going against the grain, right? So,
So if a lot of listeners, they've spent a lot of time saving money. So when they are ready to retire, sometimes they reach age 65 when they're going to start taking Medicare. There's things that happen that they have to make decisions on.
Right.
So,
don't wait too long is what I think what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is a lot of people just wait and wait and wait for something to happen. The time to do it is right now. I love when we get our people who put leads in on our system and they put down what they want to do. And a lot of them put down they're retiring in 2, 3, 5 years, whatever. You actually want to start doing this 5 years out. What I mean by that is planning. Okay. Right. And you don't have to be 65 to do this. You can be 45, you can be 40, whatever age you want to do it at. Most of our clients in their 50s and 60s and 70s. That's probably our area of expertise. But the time to do this stuff is now while you're younger. You just asked me, Dad, how do I become a millionaire? Right?
I did this morning.
This morning, she goes in, she says, how much money do you think I need to really retire? And I said, probably $5 million. But by the time 30 years from now, you're probably going to need $5 million if you look at the cost of living and everything going up, right? And I said, she says, how do I do this, Dad? And I said, well, number one, you got to get out of debt. You have to have no debt, number one. Number two, you have to take the money, the extra money, and not spend it, but put it away. My philosophy is I don't even think you have to worry about interest rates, what you're earning on the money. I think it's better to not be taxed if you don't have to be taxed on it. Put it away and just continue to put it away and have no debt. That's the secret to success for most people that I've seen over my career, how they made money. Yes, some people inherit money. Some people make it in the stock market. Some people are saying, I sold houses. It all works, but the key to it is saving the money and investing the money as best as you can. Get educated about the money. You're starting to do different things with the stock market and all these different avenues for investing. It's important to learn, right?
Yeah, definitely. It becomes easier.
Yeah.
At first, it was kind of like, what the heck is this? Now it's a piece of cake pretty much.
It's funny, the more you talk about this stuff, it gets easier. I've noticed clients too who over the years in the beginning, they came in and they didn't have an education on what we were doing. And then once they see me 3, 4, 5 times, 10 times, all of a sudden they're talking about the same verbiage I have. And we're having a clear conversation about what they want to do with the money. I would say for anybody out there today listening, to wrap up the show a little bit early here, is that if you have dead money, if you have money sitting around and you want to turn it into something that's going to turn into a lifetime income for you, consider one of these income annuities that we do. Consider a fixed annuity. If you want to be in the market, you don't want to lose any money, but you want to have the better returns possibility, opportunity for growth, then maybe consider one of our index annuities. And guess what? We don't charge a fee. I get a commission directly from the insurance companies. They pay me. It's funny. I had a guy yesterday who called me. And actually, I had to call him because one of the companies had sent me this guy to give him some information. And his advisor passed away. And the guy was kind of arrogant and he was like kind of going, I don't know if I want to deal with you. And I said, look, we're at a different level. I'm at a different level than your existing. He goes, how do you know that? I said, well, just go to my website. And I would encourage anybody out there, go to my website, find out who we are, what we do, how long we've been doing it, 25 years in South Florida. That's all we do is retirement planning with annuities. We specialize in annuities. That is a very big deal. There are people that make it 25 months in this business. We've been in 25 years in South Florida. And why I'm talking about this is I want people to understand that we're here to help you. We're here to give you information and education. Start out with a copy of my book or sit down with me personally, chat with me, or give me a phone call. It's all free.
Go to jupiterjoe.com, book your free appointment, or call us today, 561-743-0999, and catch us on YouTube. Go to Jupiter Joe Money Show. Make sure you subscribe so you can see our podcasts.
Thank you, Jenny.
We'll see you next time on the Jupiter Joe Money Show. Thanks for listening.